Okay, so today we're going to be talking about rates. By the end of the lesson, you should be able to calculate the unit rate as well as telling whether two quantities are proportional to one another. First things first, I have a video for you.
It's Rady, that cat who's great with rates. Meow. How much does this fish cost? Fish? The fish costs $3 per pound. That's $6 for every 2 pounds. Thanks, Rady.
Turn off the shower, you're wasting water.
Okay. That's right. Water flows through that shower head at 3 gallons per minute. You've been showering for 10 minutes. That's 30 gallons of water down the drain. Get out of the shower. You're eating 1 apple per person. 5 apples, 5 people. $10 per lawn. At 5 lawns in the neighborhood, that's $50.
Ugh.
And 4 commercials per commercial break. Yeah, half a gallon of milk per week. That's 1 gallon of milk every 2 weeks. 2 hours of gameplay per day. That's 14 hours per week. Only 3 windows cleaned per hour?
Oh man, we still have 100 miles to go.
We'll get there soon. I'm driving 50. You're not going 50. You're going 50 miles per hour. That means you'll go 100 miles in 2 hours.
Is that your cat?
It's Rady, the math cat. Ooh. 1 mile marker per mile.
We have 2 hours in the car with him?
Maybe I'll kick up to 70.
Meow.
Alright, I think you get the idea.
It's Rady, that cat who's great with rates.
Alright, so those are just some examples of when you would use rates in real life that you may be familiar with. First things first, let's do our vocabulary. So, a ratio that compares two quantities with different kinds of units, that's called our rate. Sorry for my sloppy handwriting. When a rate is simplified so that it has a denominator of 1, that's going to be called our unit rate. To give you a few examples, say for instance there's a remote control car that can travel at a rate of 16 feet in 8 seconds. That could be an example of a rate. Another example would be maybe walking 35 miles in 7 hours. Now the difference between a rate and a unit rate, you could kind of compare it to simplifying fractions. That way it seems a little familiar to you. It's when your denominator is 1. So for instance, instead of 16 feet for every 8 seconds, you could simplify that to 2 feet per 1 second. Or instead of 35 miles for every 7 hours, we could compare it to 5 miles per 1 hour. So the biggest thing to take away from this is when you're asked for your unit rate, your denominator needs to be a 1 for whatever unit you're simplifying. First example, Adrian biked 24 miles in 4 hours. If she biked at a constant speed, meaning her speed does not change, how many miles did she ride in 1 hour? So in the question, they're telling us what value they want us to simplify. So since they want us to figure out how many miles she rode in 1 hour, I want to put my hours on the bottom. So 24 miles for 4 hours Alright, so we know in our second ratio, or fraction, that we're going to set up, we want it to equal 1 hour so that we can get our unit rate. Now, like I said, think of simplifying fractions. So how would I get 4 hours to 1 hour? Well, I would divide by 4. And remember, whatever you do on one side of your fraction, you also have to do to the other. So 24 divided by 4 will give me 6 miles. So by finding the unit rate, I now know that Adrian can bike 6 miles for every 1 hour. You can also use unit rate to compare prices of items. This is especially useful when you go to the grocery store and have no idea what bag of dog food to buy. So the prices of 3 different bags of dog food are given in the table. Which size bag has the lowest price per pound? So per pound, that's telling us that we need to simplify our pounds. So I'm going to set up a few rates, or ratios, fractions, so that I can figure this out. So we're going to put our price on the top and pounds on the bottom because we want to figure out how much just 1 pound costs. So our first bag of dog food is $49 for 40 pounds. I know I want to find what 1 pound equals, so that's going to tell me I need to divide by 40 on the top and the bottom. If you put in your calculator $49 divided by 40, it will give you something that you're going to need to round. Remember when you're working with money that you have your tens place and then you have your ones or your pennies. So make sure if you're ever working with money that you make sure to round if needed. So for this one, that's going to give us $1.23 per pound. It was 1.225, but that 5 is going to bump that 2 up to a 3. So now let's try the second one. We have $23.44 for 20 pounds. So we need to figure out how much just 1 pound costs. So we need to divide by 20 on the top and the bottom. On this one, I'll get $1.17 per pound. Are you starting to see how by finding the unit rate you can better understand which one is the better buy? We have one more to try though. So I'm going to put it over here, $9.88, and we have 8 pounds. Again, I need to simplify it so that I can find the price of just 1 pound. Sorry, this side of my board's a little off. To do that, I'm going to divide by 8 on the top and the bottom. If I were to do that, I would find out that it is $1.24 per pound for that 8 pound bag. So now that we can see the cost per pound, we can better understand which one is the best buy. So our 20 pound bag sells for the lowest price per pound. Now we're on to our final example. Lexi painted 2 faces in 8 minutes at the crafts fair. At this rate, how many faces can she paint in 40 minutes? So we're finding the time that it takes to paint 1 face first. So let's think about this. If it takes 8 minutes to paint 2 faces, how many minutes would it take to paint 1 face? Well, if we split 8 minutes in half, we'd find out that it takes 4 minutes to paint 1 face. So, if it takes 4 minutes to paint 1 face, and they want us to figure out how many she can paint in 40 minutes, ask yourself, if I start with 40, how many 4 minutes are in 40 minutes? So you can do it the long way and add them one by one to figure out how many times, or you could have simply done 40 divided by 4, and you would get 10 bases in 40 minutes. So by finding the unit rate, it helps us better understand what's going on. So now you're going to try a few